talking about the IDPA Speed Draw. So this is actually more of a competition subject this morning, but it's completely applicable to a defensive shooter. So let's get into the safety briefing. First of all, safety, no live weapons or ammunition. Please check now. If you're going to be doing the draw process with me this morning, make sure that you are absolutely positive you have no live weapons, that the gun you're going to be using is unloaded. Double check it now. Check your magazines. I'm going to show you mine here in a second. Let's get right into this, okay? By the way, this morning I showed you, or I told you I would show you what I'm using. Today I'm actually using this beautifully finished Wilson Combat CQB. This is one of my ESP guns that I kind of let them give me the color variation, or I should say the finish that they wanted to. It's kind of got a gunmetal finish. It's a beautiful gun, and this is exactly how I set up my ESP guns for IDPA, and we're going to be talking about the IDPA Speed Draw, so I wanted to show you that. So I have an unloaded and clear fire. Let me double check that chamber. I do have 2 magazines on my belt just to kind of keep the belt weighted like it would normally be. This particular one has some dummy rounds in it and an orange, basically what I call a dry fire tab, and then this one is empty. Number one fundamental principle of the draw process is when one hand moves, both hands move, right? So when I draw the handgun, doesn't matter if my hands are relaxed to my side, or my hands are in a surrender type position, or maybe if the course designer has me, putting my hands on a wall or grabbing a rake or whatever they're doing in the particular course. When one of my hands moves, the other one moves. So for example, when I'm reaching for the handgun with my strong hand, my left hand moves as well, or my support hand moves as well. What I don't want to do, and what you should not do, is start the draw process by moving your strong hand and then leaving your support hand lagging down below. Because what that's going to cause is an issue that I call in my classes chasing, right? So chasing means that when you draw the handgun, one hand moves, it pulls the handgun out, and then the other hand is chasing, trying to catch up to that primary hand. In the end, chasing ends up with what I call a hope grip, right? You know what a hope grip is? Anybody know what a hope grip is? A hope grip is, I hope I put my hands in the gun properly, but I don't know if I'm going to end up like this, or I don't know if I'm going to end up like this. None of those are good, right? So we want to move both hands at the same time so we don't end up chasing. So where do they go? Now here's a key. This is one of those, for my retired Marine, he would know, it's like a stomping point where the drill instructor or the instructor would start stomping to wake up the other Marines in the room because they're dozing off. This is an important point. This is a stopping point. My strong hand, when I initiate the draw process, is going to actually index the gun and travel up the backstrap of the gun. So what I'm doing is I'm actually making contact with the web of my hand right here. And my first contact point, or my first index point, is on the back of the grip here. But notice when I make contact, I don't make contact here. So I make contact right here, and then I'm actually literally going to take that hand and drive it up the backstrap of the gun. So I'm driving my strong hand high up the grip of the handgun. Now this is a key deal. We talked about this in the grip trigger sights video that I did on Monday. When I do this, I need to know that I got high enough on the backstrap of the gun. So when you grab your handgun, go ahead and draw it if you want to, or put it in your hand, and I want you to take your hand and I want you to drive it up the back of the handgun. Then I want you to pay attention to the pressure between your middle finger and the trigger guard, and the pressure between the web of your hand and the beaver tail area or the tang of the firearm. Now, if you don't feel pressure in those 2 key points, then you didn't drive your hand high enough up the back of the gun. Okay, so you want to drive that hand up the backstrap of the gun. So when I grab the handgun in the holster, I'm literally taking my strong hand and I'm driving it up the backstrap of the gun. Now, when I put my support hand into action as well, where does my support hand go? Now here's the deal. Your support hand is going to go to a spot somewhere on your center line of your body with your forefingers together, because that's how we're going to put the support hand on the gun. And it should be in a position or place where when you drive the gun out of the holster, like literally, watch my holster. When my holster lets go of my handgun, right, it just popped out right there. If I were to start driving that gun on a straight line toward the target, my support hand is in a position to facilitate getting that hand under the trigger guard and onto the gun. This is index point number 2 in the actual application of the draw process, okay? So the gun drives by, okay? My other hand, it's going on a straight line to the target. My support hand comes under the trigger guard and starts that grip building process. And from here, I continue the grip building process to full extension, where I get the spot where I stop the gun, where I aim it, and then I fire my shots. Okay? Now, a couple things. When I grab the gun in the holster, it's really important for those of you that are not shooting 1911 style handguns like I am, that you're still going to flag the thumb up in the air. Now, I have my thumb flagged, or need to have my thumb flagged, because I'm shooting a 1911 style handgun. So my thumb is going to be flagged up in the air anyways. But for those of you shooting Glocks, MPs, XDMs, whatever you're shooting, polymer pistols, you still need to have that thumb flagged up in the air, because that allows you to take that support hand once you index that trigger guard and roll it into place. Now, there are really 3 key index points that I'm going to teach you. 3 specific things. When we draw the handgun, it's incredibly important that we gain time by indexing our hands onto the handgun and feeling where the grip is being built, if that makes sense, okay? When I draw, I don't want to have to take the handgun and extend it all the way in front of me and then decide, okay, the gun is not pointing toward the target. You know, I have actually a small USPSA style target on the wall there. When I draw my handgun, I want to draw it and know where the sights are before the gun actually stops. Like, I know where my sights are based on what I'm feeling on the handgun. The sights were perfectly aligned there. And what I mean by that is, here are your 3 index points. Index point number 1 is the building of the grip in the holster, right? So I feel this. I feel, pay attention to this, if my handgun, beaver tail, or tang is touching that spot, I know I'm on the money. I know I'm where I need to be. For example, if it were angled like that, that's going to be wrong for me, for my grip and how I extend the hand. That might be wrong. So I can feel what's right and I can feel what's wrong. So those of you that are really interested in getting better, pay attention to what I'm saying here, because these things matter. If I feel that initial index point in the holster, that starts the process of aligning the gun. The second index point is my finger under the trigger guard. I call this the Judy chop, the trigger guard index point. You all know that if you watched me before. This tells me that my hand is going to rotate or wrap into position correctly, because if I touch a certain spot on my index finger, my grip's going to build the same way every single time. And then index point number 3 is how my thumbs actually meet together, right? So you see the curve of the thumb right here and the curve of the thumb right here. So index point 3 is when the hand not just rotates in, but it rotates up under the grip. So my hand is rotating in and up, in and up. Now notice my thumb safety is already wiped off. If I don't have the thumb safety wiped off when I rotate my hand in and up, my thumb will get in the way of the thumb safety when I try to wipe it off. So oftentimes when I'm actually drawing a 1911 style system, I'm actually wiping the safety off here. When I do my trigger guard index point, that's when the safety comes off. Okay, so the gun comes all the way up, drives by my support hand, I index and wipe the safety off here. So now I've already used 2 index points to feel what I'm, where the gun's going to be pointing. Now I'm going to feel the third one right there. My thumbs touch together, okay? And I know my sights are going to be where they need to be. I'm going to fire or extend the handgun, prep that trigger, see what I need to see on the sights, and then fire the shot. Now, what you need to see on the sights varies based on the target distance, right? And the difficulty of the shot. So now let's go ahead and add the good old IDPA concealment garment, right? By the way, this same principle, this same concept would apply if you're wearing a jacket, or maybe you're just a defensive shooter and you're wearing a fleece jacket or whatever else, okay? So let's talk about the sweep itself. The way I prefer to sweep at times, depending on where my hand is, believe it or not, is, and this is going to be dependent on the vest that you're wearing or the cover that you're using, okay? I can sweep by grabbing the bottom of the vest down here, right? So oftentimes, where my hands sit when I'm relaxed at my sides is right there at the bottom of the vest. So oftentimes, if my hand's there anyways, when I go to the sweep, I start sweeping the bottom of the vest, and I pull it away from the handgun like that, okay? Okay. So sweeping method number one will be to reach the bottom of the garment. So my hands are relaxed to my sides, and I'm literally going to hook the bottom of the garment, and I'm going to throw it back and out. So I'm literally taking the vest, throwing it back and out, so it's out of the way when I draw the handgun. Sweeping method number two would be what I call a middle sweep. So right now, you can't see my gun, but my gun is sitting on the holster about right there, right? On the holster on the belt. My point here is when I grab my handgun on this sweep, I'm going to be sweeping from the center. I'm going to sweep in a position where my hand is slightly above the gun. Okay, I don't want to sweep below the gun necessarily. I'm going to sweep slightly above the gun, and I'm going to reach up with a 4-finger hook, and I'm going to make contact with the vest, and then I'm going to throw it out and back. I'll look back here at the wall because I didn't want to elbow the wall and break my elbow, right? So when I do that sweep, I'm literally sweeping, throwing it out and back, and then fire those shots, just like that, okay? So my full sweep from the center would look like that. So I'm making contact, both hands move at the same time, same speed, cover my gun back up, okay? I'll slow it down, 4-finger hook, throw it out and back. So I'm throwing it out and back, grabbing the handgun, driving the gun to the target. Give you a different angle here. Throw it out and back. Okay. Maybe do this on the timer. Out and back. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's do a little start signal. Wake everybody up in the house. How about that? Okay. That time I didn't index the back of the gun like I would like to, but I'm really paying attention to what I'm feeling on the handgun. Okay? So there's your full jacket sweep if you're wearing a vest. Of course, this morning's instruction is IDPA Speed Draw, okay? So we're just working on the IDPA Speed Draw, where we're drawing that handgun, building our grip, you know, doing all the things we need to do to successfully do that. Remember, both hands move at the same time and same speed. I'm indexing the gun from slightly behind it. Once I draw the handgun out of the holster, that's when that second hand chops or indexes just like this, right? And we call that the Judy chop. Remember, there are 3 key index points to the draw process. If you're trying to build speed in your draw, there are so many things that matter that physically that you have to do, but most importantly, the thing I really want to know is I want to know when I actually grab the handgun, what it feels like to be pointing the handgun correctly in the right direction. And the only way you're going to feel that is by learning these key index points where I feel there's index point 1, index point 2, and I wipe the safety off there. Index point 3 is my hands come together. So I've got 3 distinct pieces of physical information that will basically tell me if I am building the draw process right. So Matthew, notice when I do this, watch how both hands move at the same time and same speed, okay? See where the hands go? If you actually did a slow-mo of my draw, you would see me sweep, second hand comes here. When my gun drives by, my second hand comes under and starts to pick it up, right? It literally assists the process of me driving the gun out to full extension. And I actually had to modify that recently and really learn to use my support hand to drive the strong hand out. It's kind of a weird thing. I've always taught in my classes that the support hand needs to go under that trigger guard and assist. So literally, as the strong hand drives by, the support hand goes under the trigger guard and starts to also push the gun out to target. So both hands are pushing the gun out to target. My right and my left hand, after I do full extension, are doing like we talked about in the grip sights trigger video. You know, I'm in essence clamshelling the back of the gun. I'm taking my wrists and I'm counter-rotating them, right? I talked about that a lot in previous live videos when we're talking about grip building. It's really an important process. This is some gold nugget stuff, I think, for those of you that haven't seen this before. This tells me, this index point tells me if the muzzle is going to be aligned left or right or where I want it, okay, if that makes sense. This index point here even though my thumbs are close, I'm feeling this. Because if I get this index point right, correct, then I know my hand will roll into place in the proper spot. The third index point that I need to know is when this thumb rotates up into the grip, because that tells me I have the proper placement of the left hand, that it's not low, it's not down here, it's not wrong, it's this and these two things touch, right? If I don't know if I'm making sense. I think I'm making sense. I just hope you can see this as well as I think you can. This index point and this index point are the other two keys. So there are three distinct index points. Would it be wrong to touch the thumbs, or you maybe feel your thumb touch? Yeah, but that doesn't tell me where the gun's aligned. Remember, the whole purpose of the index points are to help me physically feel where the gun's pointing before I can see where it's pointing. Think about that for a second. Okay, this is one of those things that people should have got their lazy butts out of bed to listen to, because this is a huge tip for you. If you can feel where the gun's going to be pointing before you have to see or look at what the gun's going to be pointed at, then you can fix it before the gun gets to full extension. If you can fix it. A lot of times, believe it or not, so first of all, if the Glock has an extended slide lock, this is not a Glock, I know that, but if the Glock has an extended slide lock, I will probably ride that device anyways and prevent that slide lock. So if you have an extended slide lock, what I found is my left hand, believe it or not, gets so high on the gun that a lot of times I have a problem there. But what you can do is you can, when you build that grip and the hands come together on the Glock, is you can take that right thumb and you can rotate it over on top of your hand and press down on your own thumb. So you leave a little bit of gap of space there, but it's still a pretty functional grip, so the slide will lock the rear. I tell you, the index point different for different grip sizes. Absolutely. Remember, this index point under the trigger guard and how you're going to feel the hands come together is going to be different for any size gun. The bigger the grip, okay, the more my hands are filled by the grip, and the more this position would change, okay, based on my grip size. So the bigger the grip, you know, more likely the farther out on my index finger I would actually touch the trigger, okay? Number two, my thumb is absolutely riding the safety on a 1911. So what you can't see is I'm actually taking my thumb and I'm pushing down on that safety. Even when I'm shooting with my support hand, I'm riding the safety. I have an ambi safety. I think if you shoot a 1911 style system, you probably need to have ambi safety set up like I have on my gun. So yes, I'm riding the safety on a 1911 style system. Think about it like it's kind of like a gas pedal, and I'm actually leveraging and pushing down with my thumb. When I'm shooting it, because I'm gripping hard here, I'm also pushing down with my thumb. So by pushing down on my thumb, I'm also helping hold the gun down during recoil. Okay. You're getting very specific in my questions. I love that. I am actually putting pressure. So can you see my safety? I'm sure you can, right? So my thumb, it rides the whole safety, but I kind of rotate it and put it out on the outer edge. The reason I do that, it's on the outer edge, is because if I go to the inner edge and let my thumb ride there, I will tend to drag on the slide. So my thumb, when I'm pushing down on it, you probably see this. When I push down, watch it rotate. See, kind of rotate to the outside. Now it's on the outside of the safety, but I can also feel it touching the thumb as well, because this thumb is right below that safety. The basics, right? The fundamental things. I think I'm giving you some real good secret stuff in the basics, but you know, there, like I said earlier, there are about 45 key skill sets to master the game of IDPA, right? They're almost, 43 of them are covered in the IDPA Mastery Program. The other few are advanced or low light skills that I'm doing a future video for. So if you want to know more about what I've taught today and get the key details, the rest of the material, the stepping draw, the pivoting draw, how to manage the gun around cover, how to shoot with one hand, well then go and check out that program. Go to MikeCClender.com, check out IDPA Mastery. If you want to look on what's on the inside of the paywall, just do the 14-day free trial, set a reminder in your calendar, cancel if you don't like what's inside there. I appreciate it. Hey, if you haven't checked out my podcast as well, it's not just me running my mouth. I have top shooters like Mac Michelle, JJ Rakaza, covering some content that is fantastic. It's 100% free as well. Google American Warrior Show or go to AmericanWarriorShow.com and check that out.